Hello, welcome to الكرامة news channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with the latest developments in Libya. Parliament member, head of Energy Committee, Isa Al-Aribi, said that the number of Parliament members met members of the outgoing Congress to discuss the political situation and a quick political consensus to overcome the crisis. Al-Aribi said the parties noted that the output of the political agreement draft proposed by the new UN envoy German Martin Kobler do not satisfy Libyan people's requirements and do not conform to the reconciliation principles. Al-Aribi noted that he and the parties introduced the initiative to Parliament to resolve the crisis and create compatibility. Parliament member Ali القدراني said in a statement to الكرامة news channel that 13 members of Parliament and the outgoing Congress had met in Tunisia where they agreed on some points regarding the dialogue. القدراني added that the Parliament delegation insisted on non-harming the Arab Libyan armed forces because they are the protector of the country from terrorism threat. In the meantime, he noted that the two sides have agreed on the need to start a Libyan dialogue as a substitution for international mediation, which has been unable to resolve or to remove the dispute but increase tension in Libya. Arab League Secretary General Nabil Al-Arabi receives the new UN envoy to Libya Martin Kobler and at the Arab League headquarters. The two sides are scheduled to discuss the future prospects for implementation of Sikhirat agreement on forming a national unity government. Kobler's visit to Egypt is his first since taking office. British Prime Minister David Cameron said that the West is in need of Libya as a partner to face the threat of terrorism. Cameron noted during a press conference on the sidelines of Commonwealth Summit that the Maltese capital of Valletta that groups such as Daesh, Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab movement benefited from areas that are not controlled by the government. Moreover, Cameron stressed the need for a unified government in Libya that could be an effective partner with the international community to stop the spread of terrorist groups. Commander of Special Forces Colonel Wanis Abu Hamada issued a resolution banning the arrest of any citizens or breaking into houses by Special Forces units and supporting units volunteers in Benghazi and its environs without prior permission. Abu Hamada noted that the arrest procedures should be only issued with an official permission from the Commander of Special Forces, Military Prosecution, Civil Prosecution or CDI in order to maintain the security of the citizen, not to intimidate them. Sources reported that terrorist Daesh elements in Sirte are transporting heavy weapons and vehicles to new locations east of the town of Hawara, Nufaliya and Bin Jawad to be ready to progress towards Al-Hilal and Nafti or Oil Crescent region and Ajdabiya city. The sources noted that weapons of the group elements and their vehicles were in Abu Hadi and Jihaz al-Nahr east of Sirte. The source added that the terrorist group elements to the street with their weapons took on the area, accompanied by the so-called Islamic police vehicles, a military aircraft in the city by Skyline, and its support to search for the wanted men. And still in Libya, Health Minister Dr. Rida Al-Aukali received his Tunisian counterpart Dr. Saeed Al-Aiz at the headquarters of his temporary residence in Tunisia to discuss the file of the wounded Libyans and their treatment in the Tunisian military hospital. The meeting tackled the need for transferring 6 dead brain cases from Europe and the United States to Tunisia to facilitate the transition procedures for them and their families. They also discussed the accumulated debt issue on the previous wounded committees. Meanwhile, Al-Aukali has extended condolences to the Tunisian people and government on the attack that targeted a presidential guard post last week. On to Yemen, at least 2 children were killed and several others wounded when Houthi forces shelled a civilian neighborhood in the Yemeni city of Taiz, witnesses said today. Residents and witnesses said that children were gathering near a water truck when the shell hit. An eyewitness said a shell landed near the Awadi commercial district, adding that the 2 children were killed and about 7 or 8 of the children were wounded. Taiz, Yemen's third large city, has been the site of fierce fighting in recent weeks as troops loyal to President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi launched a renewed offensive aimed at ousting the Houthis. In the process, the city has been left in ruins as the population is suffering from limited food and medicine from a siege. Residents say being imposed by Houthis who control the entryways into the city. On to Turkey, Turkish Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoğlu said today that the body of a Russian pilot had arrived in Turkey overnight. Turkey recovered the body from northern Syria and presented it to Russian diplomats today, 5 days after shooting down his warplanes in an incident that rigged relations between the two main powers involved in Syria's war. Reporters said a coffin carrying Oleg Beshkov arrived in an ambulance to the tarmac of Hatay airport in southern Turkey near the Syrian border. It arrived to the capital Ankara, where, according to Russia's RIA news agency, it was met at airfield by Moscow's ambassador and military attaché. The shooting down the Russian fighter jet by NATO member Turkey, the first known incident of its kind since the Cold War. It set back efforts to forge a unified front against terrorist Daesh group in the weeks since the militant group claimed responsibility for mass killings in Paris and blowing up Russian airlines. Thousands of people joined one of the biggest global days of climate change activism today to put pressure on world leaders in fighting global warming at a summit in Paris. In Athens, environmental and activist group stages a colorful demonstration in which hundreds of people marched to the sound of percussion beats. Some said they wanted to show solidarity with the Parisians who were banned from protesting by the authorities after attacks by terrorist Daesh group killed 130 people on November 13. A Madrid activist marched from Civil Square to Puerto del Sol in the center of the Spanish capital, some of them holding placards reading, "Change your life, not your climate." Greenpeace said over 10,000 people joined the march. In Brussels, between 1,500 and 2,000 protesters formed a human chain from Brussels Stock Exchange all the way to the city's Justice Court. Several climate protesters across Belgium were banned by the government after the country last week raised its security threat level to the highest level of all in the wake of the Paris attack. And finally, about the immigration crisis, leaders of the European Union working on an agreement with Turkey in Brussels that offers Ankara cash and closer ties with the EU in return for Turkish in stemming flow of migrants to Europe. Turkey's Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoğlu said that the summit with the European Union leaders today was a new beginning in Turkey's accession process to the 28th nation bloc, aware of a sense of desperation in Europe for a solution to a crisis that has called into the question the future of its passport-free travel zone. Ankara has been driving a hard bargain. Diplomats said that the 28 EU government has struggled to agree a final offer. The draft deal made clear the nature of the trade-off involving Turkish help in handling the flow of migrants to the EU, expected to reach 1.5 million people this year alone, and the EU offering cash and restarting talks on EU accession. My audience, that is a wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.الكرامة.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدي.